Welcome. My name is Maria, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I am so glad you stopped by. We're going to be making today one of the coolest interactive cards out there. It is called a never-ending card, and you will see how beautiful this card is, really, and it's super fun to play with. Let me show you. This is an old card I made a while ago, but you can open it one way, then up this way, this other way, and you can just keep playing with it over and over again. Again, I don't know who came up with this idea, but I think that person is simply genius. This card, funny enough, is not complicated to make. It has three, four steps to it, really. I think that for those of us that like designer paper and that like to play with it, the decorating piece is what's going to give us a little bit to put more thought into it, really. But other than that, making it super simple. So let's get to it. We are going to be using today for this Christmas card several of the papers and stamp sets from our mini catalog. We will be using the Gingerbread and Peppermint Suite, and we're going to be using from here several of their papers and some of their dies. Is one of my favorite ones out there. Now we will be using in the end. I think that we ended up using it. Some of their stamps, but no matter what, I love that I showed you this stamp set. It's just glorious. I love this stamp set. It's called Classic Cloche. And I just love the little village and the snowy banks. And you're able to use the shaker dome. Here I am showing you one of them. And so they have already some glue in the back and in the front, and you can use them to create shaker cards. It's just beautiful. I did one that it turned out so cute. So really a great addition to your stash for doing great craftings. And the last one we're going to use is the Sweet Stockings Suite, which I think that by now is one of my favorites just because I love animals, right? We will be using some of the paper. I fussy cut a couple of them and the paper itself. And then, of course, the stamp and die sets. We will also be using the felt it comes with, which I think it's just amazing. So you can play and just create those stockings, just make them so real. It's really beautiful. Okay, let's get to it. And I'm going to speed up our video a little bit. You will need four pieces, sorry, of 6 by 3 inches. I really, as long as one side is half the other side, it will work. You're going to need 8 pieces um, of designer paper for those bigger squares, and those squares are 3 by 3. So these are going to be a little bit. I used a fourth of a difference to be fully honest. I mean, sorry, an eighth. Usually I use a fourth of a difference between the different settings between the different panels, sorry. But this time it didn't feel okay. So I used 8 inches difference between the panel and the designer series paper. This piece, which you're going to need also 8 pieces, is 2 7/8 by 1 3/8. And these little squares that I showed before are also uh, 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. All measurements are going to be in the description below, so don't worry about those. We are going to start by scoring our pieces at 1.5, all of them. 1.5 on the one side, turn it around, 1.5. Okay, and that's super easy. It just all of them do the same. And after that, what you will do is decide, well, I decided to use 2 different colors. So, and I want my greens on the top. So you align your your cards, the red ones here, and we're going to put glue in those corners, in the outside corners. And of course, my glue is not working here. So we have glue there, some glue there, and we are going to attach the panel, one panel, just making sure it's all very squared. And as you can tell, I'm making sure I'm playing with it and fiddling so it's all in the same spot, but also squared away, because that's important. Make sure that there's no overlapping between the pieces. That happened to me here, and you'll see here in a little bit that that was kind of not working for me. We need to let that glue dry, and so what I am doing now is kind of getting all the stuff prepared. Of course, I die cut most of the stuff. I am just showing you here something awesome that Stampin' Up does. So this designer paper series has those stockings, and you can also use the dies that come with the set to get those stockings cut. And that's exactly how I got my stockings cut for this piece. No fussy cutting there. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just putting some of that felt I was telling you about that I die cut again with the die cuts from the set, um, to just decorate my stockings. Aren't these so cute? It looks really, really beautiful. It The felt even has some of the stitch lines. I just think they're brilliant. Really cute to make some of your decorations. And now I did have already colored one of my critters, so I have my dog ready, but we're going to color super quick our little cat here. And since we're coloring, we're going to do all the coloring I think I'm going to need for this project. I am starting with the lightest color, and these are Copics, and it's an E23, 25, and 27. And I am just starting with, like I said, with the lightest color, and then use the darkest color to get some of those areas where there will be some shadows, and then just working my way through it. And then we'll get the color in the middle to just extend the color. It's really not a complicating coloring piece. First of all, it's a small, and it's just easy to play with. Um, After these, I'm going back a little bit to the darks because sometimes it gets too blended, and then there's not enough definition, I think. So I like going back and forth a little bit. Now I am using the R20 from Copics to try to get some of those like cheeks, but I was really not lucky with that. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to need two presents, and those are going to be in red. And this is probably my favorite red combination, and it's R59, R29, and R27. And again, going back with the lightest color, so my R27, and we'll start using the darkest to highlight, not to highlight, to put the shadows, and then we'll just blend them with the middle and the lightest color again. Um, so this gift actually is going to go in one of the other panels. You'll see here in a little bit. But I just decided to do all the coloring together, so it did not take a whole lot of our time. I did have to speed this video a little bit more than I usually do, just again because it was long, long, long. I think it was somewhere along the lines of like an hour and a half kind of video, and I figured it was too much. Um, Even if I had all my stuff cut, I had all my most of the things I was going to use ready, even though it took that long. So this is not, a card that you're going to make in a couple minutes. You'll have to invest a little bit of time, just because again it has four panels that you will be using. Now here I am going back to greens, and I am using the green G99 and 94. and I'm just creating, little gifts, and same as before, using the lightest and getting the shadows with the darkest and trying to get some highlights in between. And then I was looking at all the uh, once the stamps I had, the other gift, and none of them was looking really good. I have to say, I don't know what was going on with me and my stamping when I stamped those gifts. So I decided to really quickly stamp another one to paint. And that's what I'm doing here is getting that stamp ready, getting it with my Memento black ink, trying to go a good stamp this time. And hey, it worked. So we're gonna go again um, to use just green and red. And so this is my recommendation. If you have a card like this that has a lot of work to put into it, just to stick to some of the same colors because those will be right there for you, right? Like you're just gonna grab them and go for it instead of having to figure out different colors and different colors. I mean, that's up to you, obviously. It's just work well for me in a card like this one. That again, it takes um, a little bit more time to get finished. Uh, Using the same greens, so G99 and G94, and using the lightest first and then the darkest, same as I had done before, and then we'll be using the reds just for the ribbon in up there. So it just keeps it simple. Um, and I am just making sure that all those colorings are good and that there's good blending. Really, with alcohol markers, you don't need a whole lot of work. To be fully honest, we have just to have a little bit of time, work those shadows, but it will blend naturally on their own. It's really easy, I think. I am not by any means an artist, let's call it that way. I like colors, I like patterns, but I am not an artist. Like I have no training in painting or coloring or anything. I think I barely passed coloring when I was in, pre-K. Um, so really using copy markers or alcohol blends are awesome. We are going to die cut um, our pieces here, and I just love that you are able to use those die cuts and instead of fussy cutting. Like I said, I am not really good with cutting either. I fear it, I think. And so die cutting really has changed my world. So I'm coming, I fussy cut them. I mean, I die cut them already, and now I have my pieces ready here with me. As you can tell, it's just super easy, right? I did not die cut in the video just because again it was already a lengthy video, so I thought we needed to speed some of that up. Now we're ready to do the fold. So we fold backwards like you're seeing here, and we really need to use our bone folder to make those edges as crisp as possible. That's going to help us a lot with our card. And now we're folding the second part, okay? Just following those core lines. And here we are doing the exact same thing. And back again, just we're going to do it over and over again to make it to come easy, right? So it just starts working easier. And then when I'm doing this, I realize that um, there was some issues. So I kept playing with it to make sure that it was working well. I realized that uh, the green panel was really a little bit on top of the other green panel, and so it was not being fluid. And I left that here just to show you two things. One, we all make mistakes. And secondly, that Stampin' Up! Trimmer, it's the bomb. It just cuts so nicely. The tiniest of, even if it's like a smidge, it's like not an eighth, it's a 30, 1/32 of an inch. It's just a smidge that I'm cutting, and it did the job without a problem. So I'm just working my way to playing with it and making sure it worked well. Okay. So now that we have done that, we're going to start decorating our panel. And I'm going to use our Stampin' Up! Seal Plus, which is awesome. Really good, really easy to use, and really, really sturdy, really sticky. Nothing comes off from that from that one. Once you use it and you put it, it's hard to come up. So be mindful of when you're placing your designer series paper, whatever you're using with it, because it's not very forgiving. It's not like glue that you have an ability to play and move a little bit. That's not happening with our Stampin' Seal Plus. So this paper I'm using is from the Sweet Stockings Suite. Again, one of my favorites, probably. I have used it in several of my projects here, and I just think it gives such a happy look, right? It's just all these lights stranded and just putting some, and the colors. I think the color combination, it just really hits me. Green and that light blue, and the yellow and the red. Okay, so now we have that first part, and now I am playing with my stockings here, trying to figure out where do I want it. I have to be mindful that these need to fit within that square. It cannot be off the square because we need it to move, right? So wherever I put these, it needs to be inside. It cannot be outside for any reason or not remotely. It will mess with the mechanism of the card. So after playing and making and trying to figure out, I decided that I wanted the biggest boot here with my doggy, and then my other one there with the cat. Using my Stampin' Seal Plus again, putting it where it will not um, be in the way. And then I'm going to need our dimensionals for the dog because since the stocking has some felt in it, it created some width to it. And I am using my take your pick, and I call it my magic wand because it is just really an awesome tool to have. For $10, you really get the best tool ever. I am showing there some of the attachments it has. It brings a putty at one end that I showed that you can use to pick small things. It really works well. The pick is one of the best things ever to help you take off the backing of the dimensionals, to get them out of where they're at, to pick up your little things is just really, again, an awesome tool. I am putting dimensionals on this stocking, which as you can see, I'm using my take your pick to take all the backings out. And now I am going to put dimensionals also on the cat. As you will see here in a second, these card, because of the felt and the dimensionals, it's gotten really wide. It's not wide. I'm trying to think of the right word. I'm sorry, Spanish speaking. Always remember that. But now it's thicker, right? And so I, at some point, will realize that I need to put two dimensionals, so one on top of the other, to really get to the right height for it. And here's what I realized, that after I put the little cat on top of the stocking, it just was not at the same level, at the right level. So one on top of the other, and that's the solution. There you go. So we are done with that piece. Now, like I mentioned, I have most of my my sentiments already cut or my pieces already cut, just because again this is a very uh, it's a card that takes time to make, and so I had it already set up. I'm fiddling here on how to put this. Is just uh, a sentiment that comes with the sweet stocking, and it is heat embossed in there in white. I usually die cut some of the pieces just in general. I love die cutting pieces when you have paper like this one with animals or with certain things that is just so easy, right? Because then you create some extra stuff for yourself to be able to use in your cards. And I die cut just this little mice carrying a big gift. And as you can tell, here's where I'm, struggling a little bit with that dimension. And I created two different panels for here. I envision a snowy forest scene. And so what we're going to do here is utilize our Versamark ink and the snow from the Peaceful Deer, using our powder there so it doesn't get sticky, to get some of that snow here that we are going to also heat emboss in white, just to create that sensation of snowing falling. I really like, I have to say very much, I like heat embossing. It's one of my favorite things to do. And our heat embossing tool is amazing. When I am doing this, I just can't see that there's a spot that I didn't put too much uh, of the stamp, just kind of trying to get it to look like it's all pretty much covered. And now I'm using my tool here, my heat embossing tool. It has two settings, one that could be used for drying, and the second setting is the one we'll use for heat embossing. It takes a little bit to get to that heat that's needed to melt the powder, but I'm trying to show you here how it looks when it melts. And you can tell very well when it's melted, because it changes its color, um, gets really vivid to it. I am making sure that's one there that mm, gets all the way melt, and we got it. So here is my two panels. As I used the trees that come with the Peaceful Deer to just stamp them all over. And I used also these two stamping colors, and it was evergreen, evening evergreen, and the old olive. Sorry about that. Just gluing this here, and I had already worked with this, of course. I had made some little slopes and stamped the trees, making sure it got all over, and then putting it there. So now we have some trees in the back, some trees in one slope, let's call it that way, and some trees on the other slope. Now, the background of that little square is just ink blending, and I didn't do that again. Just be mindful that this is going to be a long card to put together. Now, as you can see, I used a different size trees in the Peaceful Deer to create that background again. I got another little slope, and I am going to color this deer that comes in that same stamp set using the same colors we used before, these brown colors, and it was E23, 25, and 27. This is not a very complicated, of course, coloring. It's simple. It's a little deer, and just the same process. The lightest first, and then I use the dark to really go through the darker play or the places where there should be shadows, like where the legs meet or whatnot below her, and I'm calling her a doe already, below her neck and whatnot. And then going back with the middle one to just help blend. And finally, you'll see me use back and forth the light one the and the darker one just to get those colors in the right place. Like I like them anyways. Going back a little bit to the ink blending, in the back of that of the panel on the top, I just used our Misty and it's called maybe, oh my God, I forgot the name of it. Anyways, I'll put it in the link below, and the Freesia color, and I just ink blended softly. After I ink blended that piece, I stamped the trees. So not a really complicated blending. Really, it was super soft because what I'm trying to do is just create a snowy background, um, and a winter background is what I mean. I'm sorry. So again, kind of simple ink blending using a light blue and the freesia color, which I really like. I made a couple of mistakes, and I recommend if you don't have it to have a uh, white gel pen. I got mine, I think, in Amazon, and I just recommend that whenever you make a little mistake, you can just correct with that. And then I did ink stamp, sorry, another of the big trees in the peaceful deer and fussy cut it. Again, not my strength, but you just need to be a little patient with it. Putting all dimensionals because now we have the slope there, so there's no, you know, like again, the image, when you put a stamp like this and it's not using dimensionals, it looks like it's flat and then bent. It's just weird, looks weird. So what we're going to use here, I have cut these four pieces, and again, these are 1 3/8 and 1 3/8. Just be mindful that it has some pattern so that that pattern kind of looks similar between those two. Um, it could go up or down, it doesn't matter, but like at least each one, the ones on the top and the ones on the lower part, need to look similar, right? So it kind of has some continuity to it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next piece. And here's why, because the next part of the card, as you can tell, I'm struggling with keeping it in the same place, just like I said, all those dimensionals kind of affected that. But now, as you can see, these two panels, we are going to see them in the previous piece. So let me put them together and I'll show you. And that's what you have to be really mindful of, which paper you're using, because it will show in the previous panel. Let me show you. So you see here and there, okay? So I had cut, again, first cut this adorable lab that I just like completely adore. And this is where I'm going to use the gifts. And I am trying to be mindful of not showing the gift or the dog until you open the card. So I'm trying to like really put them together in a way that it doesn't show uh, in the when the previous panel is open. If that makes sense. So I'm hiding in it there, putting it, and then boom, that's the location. So I'm going to put some glue to it because I think glue is going to be a little bit more forgiving to move it back and forth as I need to. And it goes behind the dog, and the other one will go in front. So it's not, that one won't give us an issue, really. Just finagling where to put it. I don't like straight lines. I don't know why, but everything has to be crooked somehow. So yeah, that's me. Now let's go with the other side of the piano, right? First, I need to really put some sentiments there. And so I am using one of the sentiments, and as you can tell, I'm trying to decide where to put it. And then I figure out that I wanted to put it on the left side. And of course, why not? I made a mistake, and you'll see it here. It's not really all the way at the end, so I perfected it a little bit. Thankfully, it worked because at this point in time, the card is pretty much made. So I am thankful that it really worked. Um, and now I got another one that says from all of us. And I think it looks super cute. Okay, so I am now trying to decide, I have to decide what's going to go in the right blue panel, right? We have the sentiments, and I have, well, okay, first I am going to put or fill out those corners up there. So not corners, but the upper parts, let's call it that way. And so I use that festive designer paper that has those lights, and I just love it. As you can tell, I use it several times. Um, Making sure it's all squared, and that will definitely set a happy tone to this part of the card. Okay, and as I am working through it, I'm trying to decide what's going to go in that second panel. So I have, again, several fuzzy cut animals, as you can tell. I'm thinking that is a cute one, and I even put it there, but then I remembered that one of the animals in that designer series paper has a cat, and I had a fuzzy cat one already, and so I decided I wanted a cat because it is on a gift, inside a gift, and I think that that just worked perfectly, right? I had to cut part of it so it wouldn't show when the previous panel is closed. And then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking this still needs something. I had already die cut from, this one is from the Gingerbread and Peppermint Suite. I had cut some leaves and I am using those. So some leaves, and there you go. See how beautiful it looks? Once you put the red and the green on top, it just it gives it a little pop, just the right amount of pop. It really, really completes that scene. I don't know why, but it just looks, to me, it looks just perfect. Um, so some berries and some holy leaves, and there you go. Doesn't look that much better. I really think so. So just like that, we have two of them finished. And now we're going to our last panel. See, there's the panel. Always be mindful that you have clearly where it's aligning, so it kind of has continuity, right? For this one, I am using paper from the Gingerbread Suite, and I got a little whimsy with this one, so I put the stripes in here, and then and some polka dots in the other one. I think it matches perfectly, but it's just different, and I just wanted to end up the card with some whimsy. So I got those two ready and set up. I had already, like I mentioned, cut some of my pieces and have them ready to go for it. So here is my pieces. So I have two Christmas ornaments that I die cut with using the gingerbread and peppermint suite. So these I die cut them, and then I die cut the insides of it, and I think it just looks really, really good. Um, so I am working on my sentiment here. I love this one, and just the same as we did before, just a scallop one in a um, in red and then the white one. We're just putting that together, making sure it's centered, and that will go in the lower panel of my card. And just again, making sure it's the right the right place, the right side, the right side, the right location. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes again, English does not help me. And now I'm just going to put glue to these two ornaments that I already die cut. And if you see how beautiful they are, all the detail of these die cuts, it just looks beautiful. I'm using red and green, and the ornament piece, that piece I'm getting to glue, it's in gold. I just really love that combination. Green and gold and red and gold to me is just glorious. And just using the glue, I'm sorry I'm out of the screen a little bit. Just be mindful not to put a lot of glue on the sides of it, um, because you don't want it to spill over because it's gold and it usually it's complicated because it does, it kind of like creates a little, I'm not sure what the word is. I'm sorry about that. But if you've worked with gold foil or gold paper, you know that if the glue goes on top of it, it's hard. It just creates like, it looks like fuggy. It just looks funky, so it does not look good. And this is what I meant when I said whimsy. I put the polka dot paper up top with the striped one and the striped one down with the polka dots just to create some fun on it. Like I mentioned, I had a lot of stuff already pre-cut and or die cut, and this is one of those. I had a few of those candies that come with the paper, designer series paper. I just love that paper. It's, and again, going back to what I was saying, Stampin' Up is, it's so careful in detail about some things. So I can use some of the dies to actually die cut the paper, right? Like I showed you with the stockings before. And so I die cut a few of them, and even I hadn't die cut before, so I could play with them. And I was using my Stampin' Up seal with this. It was really not working very well. I just didn't want to use more glue. I am kind of messy with glue, and you'll see that I am messy with glue here in a second because I'm like, okay, these little candies are too small and I need some glue. And so I'm trying and trying, and then, oh Lord and behold, a big blob of glue come out of it. And so I'm using my, some of that glue with the other one, and it's just too much glue. I'm trying to see if some of the others need some of it, but it doesn't. Anyways, it was a lot of glue. As you can tell, it came up messy, messy. I just dried it a little bit, and here is our finished card. I think it's super cute. What do you think? I think it's perfect for Christmas, especially for kids or for the ones like me that are kids, right? Um, I think it brings just happy, happy thoughts, right? And there you go. Please subscribe and like the video if you really liked it. Thank you.